Howdy, everybody. Uh, the three of you that are here. I know I kind of caught this stream on a bit of a surprise. This is kind of the only time I had to do it today, which is like, I'm only streaming for an hour because I got to go to work afterwards. But I promised there'd be a Code Vein stream, so I'm going to try and do that. This is fairly late in the game, I think. And this area sucks. You'll see why this area sucks in a second. Like, for example, that guy just hiding in the fire. If you walk far enough, he's going to ambush you. And the first time you go through here, there's literally no way you can know that. Unless you're just very carefully looking. So this is my character. I forget what I named her. Technically, Rebecca Valentine from GamesIndustry.biz named her. I want to kind of like give a sense of this game a little bit. Of like, I didn't formally review this, though Bandai Namco did send me a code. So I've been playing it for, I want to say about a week now? There are parts of this game I really like, and a lot of parts I don't. And I don't think the moniker of Anime Dark Souls is all that inaccurate. I think the battle system is surprisingly good. The way they try to make Souls games work with like a more action-y, Devil May Cry style... It's a hybrid of God Eater and Dark Souls. I think it works surprisingly well. Whatever they were doing, they're aiming for, I think they hit. The problem is map design. This place especially sucks. Like, it's a lot of... This map is not designed to show you where you're going from a, like, layers on top of layers thing. And I'll fast travel to a different area a little bit later. You know what? I have a ton of souls / haze that I should be doing something with. And not rushing straight into a place where I know I'm going to die. Hold on. I guess while I'm here... One of the reasons this place sucks is there's really nothing I can do about this. And when you're low on health and looking for a way to get out and, like, get to a thing, you can't really experiment with how to get there. Ooh, I got a present. An old book. So, presents you can give to NPCs. And they usually give them, like, they will either like it or dislike it, depending on their personality. Oh, I don't have my phone anywhere near me right now. Whoever that is, maybe they're following, maybe they're not. I will shout you out later, probably at the next stream. Apologies. But you can give those things to NPCs. Oh man, I got that. I took that much because I clipped by the fire hitbox, which is a problem with this game. But you go back to the base, you give presents to NPCs, but it's not easy to know what they want because you don't get a sense of their personalities at all. So I'm like, okay, well, the big guy who handles dungeons probably likes sake, which he does. And then he liked beer, which was also an easy call. But then I got bourbon, I tried to give it to him, and he's like, I guess somebody might like this. It's like, okay. So somebody else likes bourbon. Where was I supposed to be able to tell that? So I've been holding on to my gifts for a while. It's brandy he doesn't like, and I have 5 of those. So, like, I have all these things that I can't do anything with because I don't know who wants them. And I don't want to, like, risk wasting them on people who aren't going to want them. So I suppose that they want me to experiment, but I don't want to do that. Because it's a Soulsian game. It feels like everything should be permanent.
Branch of the path.
Here's another thing. See that guy? He's not as, like, super special enemy. I fought, like, 2 or 3 of them. But he is hard enough that I don't want him respawning when I'm trying to explore. Like, he takes some time to kill. I'll just go fight him.
Looks like we're in for a rough time.
Like, I don't always travel with an NPC, but right now I do. Before he dies, he does that kind of attack. It gives me very little space between the same thing right over there. Which is at some point just kind of whining. That like, oh wow, this game is hard. It's a Souls game, of course it's hard.
Time to head on up.
But like, Souls is immaculately designed in a lot of ways. Not every way. I guess immaculate is probably not the word I want to use then. But I'd never get lost in a Souls game in an area that's not designed to make me lost. In this game, it feels like every game or every area is designed to make me lost. And they try to compensate that with the map, but again, this map does not convey how complicated the stuff is, and it only covers like certain areas that you found the like map marker in.
Taking it easy on the job.
Also, these guys, you can carry them with you to make battles a little bit easier. You know, they'll point things out like, "Hey, we haven't tried that." Is KFGD still going on? I thought they were done. I assumed they were going to be done, but I have to. Nanobiologist, I got to stream now because I got to go to work in about an hour. Okay. But it's. I have to actually go to the office at IGN today. But yeah, I'm streaming a little bit early because it's the only time I had today. I'm gonna meet some friends after work. And I promised to do this, so I wanted to just get it done. But yeah, this guy is Yakumo. He is the heavy weapons guy. Whoever you bring with you does not shut the fuck up. No matter what. They are always talking. It's a little different because I'm going to an area I've already been through. I might try and bring someone I've never used into the snow area because they're also quite chatty. And it kind of bothers me because, one, they're not always chatty appropriately. Like, they will, I need to get there somehow. I need to figure that out. They will say, like, hey, I see a ladder nearby. Or maybe we should use that ladder. But, like, you spend time just kind of scanning around the environment, like, what ladder is he talking about? And it turns out to be a ladder you can't access right now. It just happened to be within visual distance of them. How do I get there? Like, here's a decent example of the map problem. I can't close that map in enough to figure out how I'm supposed to get there. Like, the thing is, I don't think this is a bad game. I think if you're eager for some Dark Souls, this is that. But situations like this of, I can't figure out there, and going there damages me, is a problem. I just undid all of the healing I just did, and like, it was a net loss of health. Which means that I can't really experiment that much with trying to find my way around when I'm lost. And granted, this is just one area, and this is, I believe, a tougher area. But like, if you compare this to very similar areas in Dark Souls, they're not nearly as punishing. Also, a problem I have with this game, when you lose enough health, the screen goes kind of blurry. And like, it stops after a while. But when you're in the middle of a fight, it's not fun. I am going to get out of here because I could not figure this out when off stream. I'm definitely not going to figure it out when on stream. So I'm just going to kill myself. Alright, if you have a partner with you, they'll revive you occasionally. Assuming they're not on cooldown, which Yakumo is about to be. If you guys have any questions about this game, feel free to throw them out. So I want to show a couple of other areas real quick that I think are like egregiously bad in terms of mapping. Like Dark Souls Beyond 1, you can just teleport to any single rest area. Howling Pit is the first area of the game I went to. And I don't think it's supposed to be probably the third area, because 1, it's way too hard, and 2, it's just bad. Nanobiologist asked, how are you liking the anime art style? I think it's fine most of the time. The character designs, which I'll get into when I go to the base, are very... What's the word I want to use? Horn doggy? They're horny. They're horny anime style. And it's like, it's weird because like, oh, we need to protect this girl while she has literal like beach balls on her chest. Or beach ball. It's not literal, but yeah. Not great. And like, I designed my character to look weird and awkward. And yet, they are normal in this style. So this is Howling Pit. It is basically, what's that place in Dark Souls 1? Blighttown. You can't really move well in the water. You can't really see anything. And this is the map. Keep in mind, you don't get access to this map until you find the things that need to give you access. And having been through this area before, I had trouble finding my way through when I came here to do side quests. It is way worse than Near Horny. Alright, why don't we just go back to the base and I'll show you. Another thing that, like, it's a slight bother, but just that weird loading. Who the hell is that?
Can't find him. Where did he go? Hurry up and come out. It's dark. There are too many lost. I'm scared. This place is hell. If my wife knew I was out here, she'd be worried sick. But he's in the same boat as me. We've both got families waiting back at the shelter. I'll do whatever it takes to make it back home by the day the levy is due. I've got to start hunting for blood beads too.
So like that's the kind of side quest you get is person says they are missing. What the fuck? What is that thing? Hey, I will go to that base in a second. I kind of want to know what that is, because that is new. A lot of the enemy designs in this game are things that look cool from a distance, but when you actually get up close and fight them, they're far less cool.
Looks like there's some high ground here.
So yeah, okay, that was part of the side quest actually. So let's go back and give that guy this thing.
Sorry. Moving out.
Wait. Is that Tech? We don't pay the levy, our families will get kicked out of the shelter. We can't let that happen. Damn it all. I'll do it on my own if I have to. I swear, I'll bring... It's way too dangerous outside the shelter. My wife and I met during the war against the Queen. I died so many times I thought I'd go crazy. I can't let someone that precious to me be thrown into danger. The levy is painful.
So, one of the things about this game is it has a lot more story than any Souls game, really. A lot more. Like, tons and tons and tons of story. If you don't want story, this game is going to really frustrate you. Because there's so much. That, like... when you're leveling up your builds, basically, like you get re-equipable builds that are memories of certain other characters, which is a cool concept, but you have to sit through a cutscene of their backstory each time you want to level up level it up. And they're not fast, they're not skippable. You can't start it up and then like hit start You were like physically walking, like gears walking through the memory. And it's an interesting like thematic thing. But I hate like doing it when I just want to move on. I just want to level this up and like be done with it. And they set up some of those memories to be done before boss fights, and it really harms the pacing. Right, so this is the home base. This is where all the NPCs reside. This is Dungeon Man. I have not found any dungeons besides the first one, which I did near the beginning of the game, and thus I have not found any since then. So like I assume, he wants brandy, but last time I gave it to him, he didn't like it. So I don't know what to give him. Does he want fancy cologne? I don't know. I only have one. Am I, like, making a mistake by giving it to him? Also, this is my character. That is the medium bust size. So, like, when you talk about horny, these are the way characters are dressed. She is positively conservative compared to some of them. Like I said, all the designs are characters have like beach balls on their chest and wear basically nothing. There used to be two other ladies here that are now gone, but they were very similar in that respect. Difficulty depends. So I initially thought this game was way harder than Dark Souls. The first area I went into, that hollow pits I was just in, was trash. It was so difficult and it was so hard that I tried the boss maybe 17, 18 times, and like the time I was like, I'm just gonna give up on this game if I don't beat it this time, was the time I won. But then it turns out like, oh well, maybe I was supposed to not go to that area earlier because the other areas I went to after were easier. But there was nothing stopping me from going to that area. Like the game puts forks in the road a lot and just says like, okay, which way do we go? So you pick one, and then it turns out to be the harder one, and you don't know that until you're like well into it. Let's go to this place, Cathedral of the Sacred Blood, which Dark Souls fans should recognize pretty much immediately. It is not subtle at all. This is one of the harder areas when you first arrive in it. It's still going to be fairly difficult because the enemies have very fast movesets. But I just kind of want to walk through here. And this is, I think, my other example of very egregious map design. The map is not equipped to understand the way this level is designed. I would also like slightly faster load times in this game. This is a bit too long. It's interesting when you do it on stream and you just can't like grab your phone and check Twitter during it. It makes it feel longer. Yeah. Does this look familiar to fans of Dark Souls? My understanding is they base it on the same French castle that Anor Londo is based on. But it's straight up Anor Londo. I am playing on PS4. That was the code Bandai Namco gave me. It's a PS4 Pro, to be clear. Like, the enemies are straight up just Anor Londo enemies. Which I guess there's only so many original ideas in the game. Or in the gaming world, I guess. But it's a little... It feels almost litigious, in a way.
Get a bit tight.
Also, a lot of enemies are just like they're large female enemies that swing big weapons, and they change a bit of the design up every area, but not enough of it, and the moveset's basically the same. Speaking of movesets, this game is big on enemies that have, what's the word I want to look for? Invisible hitboxes for their weapon swings. Basically, every enemy will hit behind them as well with each swing. The reason for that is because the game is just too dodge rolly that they can't balance it without also having enemies that attack behind them. So like, it would 100%
They're not moving.
break
It can be a landmark.
if you tried to attack, or like, if you tried to make it so being behind an enemy was safe. So you have to rely very much on being able to read the movesets and know when you're going to get nailed. Which, the first time you face an enemy, can be incredibly difficult. I do like this thing on the map that shows you where you have gone, but in a very circuitous area like this. All of these paths we see here are paths that you can walk on. That is not super apparent in this map.
Make sure you're good and set before we go.
So, like, I'm sure they don't want to give away the entire map design, and they want you to get lost a little bit. But I found myself just doing the thing where I I imaginarily hold my hand to the right wall and just follow it and see where it takes me. And I like mentally map out that part. I'm playing co-op, or do I have a companion? I've only had an NPC companion, AI companion. There is multiplayer. I do not know how it works. I've tried sending distress signals, searching for distress signals. Let's see if we can find one. I have it set to worldwide. It's not like drop in, drop out, like you see summon signs. Okay, I'm answering someone's distress signal apparently. So this is the first time I'm doing this. The game does seem built around having an AI companion, but there are boss fights where I felt it's easier without them. Just because I've seen enemies take big swings on a companion. Goose Yenna. Oh, it's Untitled Goose Game. The Dark Souls agreement. We're both wearing the same armor because I was in the fire area. And this armor does well against fire. See what I mean by like overlapping map stuff? Also, I guess I'm only going by their map. I don't have my map with me. You can carry 2 weapons at a time, and you're probably fine doing so, like in terms of weight and stuff.
There has to be something here. This can get a bit tight.
There are weapons in the game that I feel like they're so big that they actually block
Hey, that's
your vision to of the game. And a biologist says his dog messed the floor a bit. That's a shame.
don't run too far ahead.
I've not played The Surge 2, but I'm curious how it compares. Like 2 Souls-like games released on the same day.
Lost her over
That's fascinating. I think lock-on distance is not great. You have to get pretty close, which makes some sense because you can use magic with a lot of things. Dude. Like, this place is great, it's just the map design sucks so much. There's no, like, landmarks. Everything looks the same. So it's so hard to tell where you're going. I wonder if there's a time limit on co-op. You can parry. What it will do is it will charge... You see that number in the bottom right? It charges that up more. But it also does damage. So like the parry is its own button. It's L2. Or, yeah, L2. I found the timing on it to be difficult. So I almost never do it, I just dodge instead. If I'm taking this person to the boss, it's going to take a long time. This is a very big area. I would say areas in this game stretch from like maybe an hour to like 3 to 5 hours long. It deals with blood in pretty much every way. Like, everything is blood themed in this game. The MP is called Eker. Ekor. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, actually.
That's a real gem.
Your builds are called blood types, and you can just equip them or change them on the fly. Which is cool. That's a very cool system. You don't have to, like, spec towards anything. So this person is parrying a lot. They are good at parrying. I am not. The controls are more like Neo's than Dark Souls. The attack button is on square and triangle, or X and Y in an Xbox One controller. The running is R1, rolling is circle, which is similar to Souls. Guarding is L1. But guarding feels like a thing you do it when you realize you've messed up. Or against certain enemies that just are way too hard to avoid otherwise. You don't have like a traditional shield as far as I've seen.
You have to take whatever you can use.
I feel bad because at some point I'm going to have to abandon this person. I'm also cheated out of a hero medal that way. Because I feel like you only get that for bosses. So music only shows up when that music only shows up when there's more than one enemy. Which can often be very confusing, like in this situation where the enemy is over here, has not aggroed. And you can't tell where the other enemy is supposed to be. Like, where did that guy come from? I feel like I'm getting myself confused with them too often, so I'm going to change clothes. The character creator in this game is insane. It has Like, basically any metric you can imagine, it covers. So, like, I think I posted on Twitter, there's like 300 eyebrows. It puts pretty much every other character creator to shame. It's at least 300. I didn't count. It takes me about 11 seconds to scroll down. So it's quite a number of options. And they're like all not different eyebrows. Some are just different shapes, so you can make yourself look quizzical if you want to. It is absolutely the true fashion souls. Somebody told me that you can adjust the colors of every piece of armor you get. I kind of like the way they look, but that's cool. If it's again, I don't dislike this game. I think I will probably keep playing it if I can figure out that fire area. Now that there's people in the game, I might have to, like, call for distress help there.
Pick up something we can use?
There is a lot of story in a biologist. There is so
That's
much
what I
story.
call a leap of faith.
You cannot avoid the amount of story that is in this game. I'll see if I have some vestiges to give an example of the amount of it. Like, there's lore in the items, there's lore in the weapons, there's cutscenes constantly. The story is still sort of vague. It's in media res, so the game, like, a lot of events in the game have already happened, and people assume you just know what they are. So there's references to the Queen Project, blood codes, all that. And it's never really told to you what those are until they are. And once they are told to you, you hear a lot more. But, like, you start hearing other terms that don't make any sense. Huh. Apparently I was never here. Is there a thematic reason everything's the same color? In this area, I don't think so. It just is, because I think they thought white looks pretty, but it's the Cathedral of Sacred Blood. I guess because the Queen is represented by white, and this kind of represents the Queen. Like, you'll be confused for a lot of the story. But that's not to say the story isn't there. It's absolutely there, they just keep using terms you don't understand yet. Like, the basic gist of it is that you're a revenant, which is a vampire, that cannot die unless you're completely burned, which makes the fire area hilarious now that I think about it. But that means you keep coming back. And everyone else is also a vampire, but they're lost. So they're vampires, but they lost their minds. And they go into, like, a blood-starved frenzy after that. So like the basic gist of it, the initial quest, it changes at some point, but you're trying to find the source of blood so you can get people to stop warring over it. You can just get like vampires to feed themselves without needing to like use human as cattle. And your character has a special ability for some reason to revive blood trees.
Keep your eyes open on the way down. Let's rest up. There's still a ways to go.
But like it is anime.
Glad to see this. Not budging.
So
is it?
you get a lot of more personal stories in the game. So basically every named character you know is somehow involved in like the grand conflict. Because, like we said, anime. This person's figuring this out really fast. I'm surprised. I suppose if they're this deep in the game on release day, they're pretty good. It's connect. I don't know what you mean, Nick Tradamus, because both are pretty similar. Everything is connected, barring a few situations of stuff that's not. Like you go into a memory, and that has no like way to walk to it. So you teleport there. Oh, there are. I want to say there's some places that are just like you can't walk to them. Just somebody gives you the coordinates to go. Oh, Guziana went that way.
Well, let's take our time.
Time is it? I'll stream for about 20 more minutes.
You have to take whatever you can use.
And I've got to get on a bus.
Oh, what's this place?
See, this is what I mean about the partner never shutting up. That, like, you've got to take what you can use, or this will be useful. Every time you pick up an item is so annoying.
No harm.
I will say it doesn't have the environmental cohesiveness at Dark Souls. When it feels like you walk into a new area, it feels like it's just like a game design, new area start here kind of thing. Like it might as well have been a level select.
Don't run too far ahead.
And that's how areas get mapped.
Opened up.
It's similar to Donald and Goofy. They tend to shut up after a while, which is good. Like they don't necessarily respond to everything you pick up. But like the first time you go through an area, you will always hear the same comments from a new person, and it's frustrating.
Moving out. I guess we looped around.
The ambushes are also very clearly defined. So it's hilarious when they try to catch you off guard with them.
Not budging, is it? We can return later.
I don't know, man. You choose where to go. Oh, that seemed unfair. See, Nick Stradamus, that actually is a problem for me. One of the complaints I have about the game is that there's no landmarks. Everything looks the same. So you rely a lot on just a very, very good memory or the map, which I don't think is great. I've not seen PvP in this game. That's not to say there isn't. I've only seen, like, distress signals. So, let's go somewhere else. Actually, let's go back to the base. What's funny is I was maybe like 5 minutes from the boss and that helping that person. It's not an easy boss too. Hopefully they're fine. This is the God Eater team. It does kind of feel like God Eater, but it feels like God Eater mixed with Souls. So it's not a straight up like God Eater itself took character action influence. This one is not that necessarily. Like, there's combos and there's hard and heavy, or light and heavy attacks, but not really much beyond that. Like, there's no airlifts or anything like that. There are plenty of spells that can change things up, and passives and actives and stuff like that. Who have I never taken to the snow area? And unlike Souls, there's a thing here that will just tell you where to go. Investigate the City of Falling Flame. Let's look at the story. Oh god, do I have to wait for you to wake up? This Rei Ayanami fucker is so frustrating. Because of her weird-ass design, her like... restore vestige. Okay, I can do a hunter, so we'll do that. This is the way backstories in the game are told. With long load times. You get these from the story quite a bit, but you're going to get like optional ones too, and sometimes you just want to level up a build.
Louis, why do you keep bringing blood beads to some random kid like me?
There isn't really a particular reason. If I had to give one, I'd say it's because you were alive when I met you.
That's... Don't keep risking your life for me, Louis. You can't.
You don't need to worry about me, really. Focus on keeping yourself alive and well.
There's no hallowed state. If you die, you just die and come back. You do lose your haze, which is the souls, on corpse runs. But it's only happened to me, I think, twice the entire game. I'm also very careful about that.
There
was no fear of being turned to ash or becoming one of the lost. I had blood beads, and that meant I had peace for myself. It was all mine. But was that really okay?
So I feel like what they were inspired by 1,000 Year of Dreams from Lost Odyssey,
Hitting you too.
but they didn't get why 1,000 Year of Dreams was good. Besides the really good writing,
Survivor.
but also it was breezy. You could choose to do it, and it was totally optional. You're doing it because you enjoy it.
We rely on each other to survive, right? That's what people do.
Like, this is when you have to do like 10 of these in a row because you just want to update all your builds. It's so frustrating.
Crazy kid that's been passing out blood beads, aren't you? Maybe. What if I am?
If you've got so many lying around,
Wait, there's a skip button.
belong to us. After all,
Okay, there's a skip button. So maybe that complaint is null and void. For some reason, it was pressing the touchpad.
He was sharing the blood beads I gave him with some of the other revenants.
It's hard to say how many hours.
He had to have known what would happen.
I don't know that the game keeps track of it. I would say I have played this for about 15 to 18 hours. But I also like leave it on while I'm doing other things. Again, a very good example of how weird the design is in this game. She is wearing a Russian hat for warmth and a cocktail dress and a corset over it. And stockings? But the stockings are not connected to the corset, despite the...
Don't worry about me. I've done what I had to do. Thanks for everything. Don't worry.
So you come with me, because I don't believe I've ever taken you to the... You say don't judge people by how they dress, but like, what? What is this? Like, it's definitely anime horny in a way that they know what they're doing. I have seen Cindy in FF15. Also don't like Cindy that much. Yeah, God Eater 2 was not great for this exact same thing. They're all vampires and they need to keep warm. There's a jacket as armor. Actually, I'll put that on since I'm here. Like when you take her out into battle, she wears a jacket.
Glad to be together. The wind is blowing. It's so cold. I do not want to fall here. Let's get through this quickly.
See, that's why I brought someone new here. Because they always have the exact same lines of dialogue when coming up this hill.
We'll put that to good use. The lost here are all cold resistant, I guess. Don't
Not this guy. The guy back there is a martyr. Shit! Oh. They replaced it. Okay. This area is really shitty for this reason. I don't even know if it's apparent on stream. It's not really that apparent until the first 7 times it happens to you. I wonder if I should just do it. Yeah, that's just instant death. And it's all over in this area. Like, they learned a lot of lessons from Dark Souls, but not always good lessons. It is very rare Dark Souls would do that to you and make it instant death. It happens. But it's not as frequent as it is in this game.
Lost again. And just when we're in a hurry.
Whoa! The only reason that, because that killed me before. Otherwise I would not have seen it.
And that's the end of this road.
Okay, this is an area where the thing I was complaining about before of the character mentions, oh, maybe we should take that ladder.
There are some
And I'm looking around like, where is it possibly talking about? It means up there, in a path that's entirely separate from here.
That river leads to a waterfall. Don't fall in.
When you notice it, you can tell, oh, it doesn't blend in. But you have to notice it. And the first time it happens, it sucks. Ah, Sonic. You can go without NPCs in the game. I feel like it would be much more difficult if you did.
You have to use every tool you have, right?
Alright, I'm going to wrap up in a second. Before I do that, I want to show the guys who pop out from the snow. Because it might be the worst popping out from the snow effect I've ever seen.
I don't like tight spaces like this. Marvelous.
Okay. See right there, that little mound of snow? Guy's gonna pop out from it. I don't want to ruin the surprise, but it's awful.
Let's be careful around snow piles.
Why couldn't they have animated that better? Alright, I'm gonna call it quits there because I gotta get to work. And I need to pack up this computer as part of that. So, thank you guys for coming. This will serve as a review of Code Vein, which is more than just anime Dark Souls, but takes a lot from Dark Souls that didn't need to be taken and misses a lot of good out of it. I think if you're really jonesing for Souls, it sounds like The Surge is a better game. I can't say that for sure because I've not played it. But you're not going to go wrong if you pick this one up. It just, you have to deal with some problems. Alright. See you guys. Again, thanks for coming to early morning, out of nowhere, or sudden stream. See ya.